You bring your phone everywhere. Work, school, the movies. Now you can bring it to an Xfinity store for an easy way to switch to Xfinity Mobile, a new kind of network designed to save you money. You can get up to 5 lines of talk and text included with Xfinity Internet at no extra cost, so all you pay for is data. It's never been easier to switch to Xfinity Mobile and keep the phone you love. Click here to see how. Sorry, I gotta take this. Restrictions apply. Limited to select mobile phones. Requires activation of a new line of Xfinity Mobile. Up to 5 devices per account. New Xfinity Internet customers limited to up to 2 lines pending activation of Internet service.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I am here with my co-host who's freezing in Tucson, Patricia Kirkman. PK, how you doing tonight?
A little cold, dear, just a little cold.
Yeah, that's not a good thing out in Tucson. That's not supposed to be happening.
Well, they're telling us to wrap up our pipes. I think they should have told us to wrap ourselves up.
I think so. Oh, my gosh. This doesn't usually happen, does it?
No, we had it last night, and again today. It's been cool all day. And it did get to about 60 this afternoon. Of course, it's dropping right down to low again. So they're calling for the... I know, I'm not used to it. See, but if you live in Tucson, you can gripe when it's really hot, and you can gripe when as soon as it turns cold. Yeah, after that, people ignore you.
Exactly. Well, it's good that we're on the air tonight because we've got two special guests. We have Ezra Harzibach from thehighend.org. He is going to talk to us at the beginning of the show about what is happening with the legalization of marijuana for recreational use in Massachusetts, all kind of stuff. So we're going to find out what is going on from Ezra. And then we're going to bring our guest on for the evening, who is Alex Seymour. He is the author of a terrific book called Psychedelic Marine, a transformational journey from Afghanistan to the Amazon. Wasn't that a great book?
Oh, it was fascinating. I had thought things I'd never thought about. Bless amazing. His heart.
I know it really well. We're going to talk to him, and we're going to find out everything about what happened on the battlefield and what happened in the Amazon. So that is coming up. But first and foremost, what's happening with the numbers? PK, where are we going?
Well, today is the last day of November, and it's been a day that has dealt with a lot of changes. One opportunity is given to us and another one's pulled out from under us. But it does have a bit of a luck factor to it, but it's been hit and miss. It's almost like riding on a bumpy road. That part, thank you God, is over with. We're at the end of the day. But tomorrow we start December, which is going to be a universal 3-month. And it's going to be about being creative, kind of a good communicator. Let those things be at the top of your list. And it's going to have to do with creating anything, any type of artistic ideas that you have. Use them. Your energies are going to be and can be rather scattered at times. But don't worry about that. Just kind of let things roll. Because you're certainly going to be able to deal with some form of artistic expression as it goes on. But the nice thing is it's a great time for shopping. All forms of gift ideas will pop into your head, so take advantage of that. But don't overspend, because the month makes us rather frivolous with our finances. So you're going to have to kind of watch it a little bit. Understand that it's going to be doors that will open up to give us opportunity for sharing. And there's going to be a lot of entertaining going on. Not just because it's the Christmas holiday, but also the 3-month itself creates a lot more than that. But we're going to start off the month right off the bat with it being a time to be practical, get your workload in order, and kind of be steadfast with what you have on your mind. That way the creative stuff that you start to work with is going to work well and not cost you a fortune to do. So that's kind of the start to your
so have fun with shopping, but be a little cautious on the amount you're spending. Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So I think we can do that. We can all do that, right?
Sounds good.
Yeah. It's a plan. It's a plan. Let's see if we can make it happen. Okay. Well, that's great. Now, you've got a psychic fair coming up.
Yes, it'll be December 4th at 445 Alvernon Way in Tucson. And it's from 9 to 4. We have 30 different vendors and readers that are going to be there. And it's going to be a lot of fun getting the end of the year, getting excited about the new year, and finding out, getting questions answered. And there's also opportunity for some gift certificates. I have some for sale that I'm going to give a discount of $25 on the hour reading and $20 on the half hour reading for the gift certificates. So they can purchase those at the fair or email me and make arrangements to have that taken care of that way. So I thought that would be a good way of saying thank you to everybody that's been so kind throughout the year. And we all need to have a little break in our pocketbook, so that's a good way to work it.
Exactly. And I know that you're offering specials for people on readings.
Yes.
And if somebody wants to give the gift of a reading with you, I highly recommend it. Just keep in mind, everybody, PK was one of the very few people who said Trump was going to win. And she just flew in the face of media and all these other people who said there was no chance he stood. And you kept saying, PK, he's going to do it. And you were right. So there you go.
And hopefully he'll grow up between now and then.
Well, I think he's doing a pretty good job.
I think he's doing a lot better. He's doing a lot better.
I think so.
I think his choices are going to be surprising to some people. And they already are, some of the choices he's made. But I think that part's very good. But one of the things also I was going to make mention of with this 3 Universal Month, people are going to be very scattered. So pay attention when you're out shopping that you keep your purse close, that you don't leave packages down, because that's a perfect time for someone to come around and pick it up and walk away.
Oh,
because you're going to be scattered with what you're thinking and maybe concentrating on getting the clerk to take this order as somebody walks away with your package on the other side.
We don't want that to happen.
No, we do not. Once is enough.
So keep everything close to yourself.
Yes. And I'm going to be doing Tucson Morning Blend this coming Friday. So we'll do a few minutes about what's going on, additional information about the 3 and what's going on.
That's good. Yeah. That's the local TV show out there that you're on.
Yes.
But again, everybody, just keep in mind, PK was right. So if you want a good, accurate reading, she's the one to go to. So
I'm here. Ready, willing, and able.
Is ready to go. You can find how to contact Patricia on our website, which is supernaturalgirls.com. You can also sign up for the Fringe Files and get all of the latest show news. And you can go to our Facebook page where we've got some really cool paranormal news. And it's tonight. We've got something really, I thought, very interesting we should share. And it's about a haunted balloon that is mysteriously floating around a children's hospital. So this is an orange balloon that's been floating around a children's hospital in Argentina, spooking the staff into believing that the hospital is haunted by the ghost of a dead child. Now, a member of staff at the Victor Vilela Children's Hospital decided to film the balloon after they noticed it seemed to be following them around the building. Now, you can see this video on our Facebook page. So go to our Facebook page, give us a like while you're there, and watch the video. It's very interesting. It shows the balloon floating along a corridor just inches above the ground as if it's being held by a small child. Then begins to float towards the person holding the camera. And a member of the staff can be heard saying, "It's coming towards us." And then a female colleague then says, "The girl on the bed said they touched her leg." Now it's coming towards us again. So they've had all of these very unusual experiences. Take a look at the video. It's so interesting.
It is. It is.
It is. And that was from Paranormal Globe. They have a lot of really good paranormal stories, and we post as many as we can for you all out there, knowing that you are so interested in the paranormal as we are. So,
I think
tonight,
what's so neat about this, with the balloon and things, is that it's uplifting in more ways than one.
well, it really is. It's really heartening because you think of parents who may have lost a child, and here, there is no death. There really is no death. So all of that is the good news. And unfortunately, we can't see the child on camera, but we see the balloon. So
that's all that counts. We know it's there.
That's right. That's right. So it's cool. So tonight, at the beginning of our show, we invited Ezra from the highend.org to come back and join us because we've had some changes here in the law in Massachusetts. Now, I know out in Arizona it didn't pass, but here in Massachusetts, it passed. So the people have spoken, and they said recreational marijuana use needs to be legal. So, Ezra, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be on again.
Well, we want to know what's going on because there's a lot of confusing information out there about this legalization. We know that the people have said they want it to be legal, and it did pass, but I hear all of these machinations from the government side of things. It looks like it's going to delay it.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know what the latest news that you heard is. I hear things too, and some of it's rumor, and some of it seems to be even, attorneys that I know who are speculating and everything. One basic way to think about it is that it's as far as walking into a shop, being 21 or older and walking into a shop and purchasing marijuana, that won't happen for quite a while. Probably January 1st, 2017 at the earliest. And that's partly because they have to get a commission together and they have to appoint a bunch of people, and then those people have to create a bunch of regulations, and then they're going to have people.
You mean 2018, right?
I'm sorry, 2018. Yes. Basically a year from now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be delayed. The fascinating thing, though, is that if you're 21 or older, as of December 15th, when the law goes into action, everyone can grow their own marijuana at home. So they don't say where you can get the seeds or where you can get the plants, but it becomes legal to possess possess 10 ounces. I was just looking over the regulations. You can have 10 ounces of marijuana and your own plants, no more than 12 plants at any given time. So that's pretty substantial change as far as the Commonwealth is concerned from December 14th to December 15th.
That's huge. Yeah, that's a really big change. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be teaching growing classes. In fact, I'm going to start teaching them because it's actually a really therapeutic and great way to have a relationship with a plant, especially if it's the medicine you use for chronic pain or sleep or what have you.
That's right. And again, I want to tell everybody, you are the expert on this. There's a lot of different strains of marijuana. They are used for different things. So if you're interested out there and you want more information, please don't hesitate to contact Ezra, and he can give you all of the straight scoop on this, on what strain does what, and the best way to ingest it, etc. I've been watching, on Facebook, people were posting a lot of videos about Parkinson's disease, people with Parkinson's that were taking medical marijuana, and you could see their stiffness and their shaking stop within a matter of minutes. I mean, it was miraculous. So
yeah, it can have powerful results in a non-toxic way. So that's why I help people, if people go to thehighend.org. In fact, I'm changing my website now that we're recreational legal. I'm still going to have more of a health focused, so I'm going to rebrand my website as highendhealth.org. So that's an exciting new thing coming for me. But yeah, it's my goal has always been to reduce the medication that people have to take to increase their quality of life. And cannabis done right can be really powerful for both the caretakers of people with things like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, it's also a promising treatment. It actually slows down the degeneration of the nerves in the brain. So there's going to be, over the next decade, maybe several decades, incredible, fascinating research on cannabis across the board.
Well, we can't wait to see it, because all of these medications that people get to take have their own set of adverse reactions, and then that requires more medication. So it's a boon for big pharma, but not for the rest of us out here that don't want to be taking that stuff. And so medical marijuana, given, again, your expertise, because it's going to take somebody like you to give people the right information, to get on the right track with this and figure out what is the best way to do this. Now, the CBD oil that you sell, that's legal in all 50 states, no matter what, because it's made from hemp, right?
That's right. That's right. Hemp that comes from Europe is hemp products that we can't grow hemp federally in the U.S., but we can import hemp products from Europe. And now they're importing this specific molecule that's grown in hemp. And CBD, cannabidiol, it's a non-psychotropic. It doesn't get you high, but it is one of the medicinal molecules in cannabis that is great for Parkinson's, great for muscle spasms, for anxiety reduction. So the reason why, and it always sounds too good to be true, that it has all these effects for various ailments, but it's because cannabinoids, these molecules, regulate the systems in our body. They regulate the immune system and the nervous system. So if you have any disease that's related to that, whether it's MS or Parkinson's, anxiety, insomnia, or irritable bowel disease, those are all related to the nervous system or the immune system. And so cannabinoids can help regulate. I have patients who call me from New Mexico, PK, and where there's medical marijuana, and they go into these dispensaries and they cannot find people who can give them the right advice. And a lot of people have come to me saying, I went into a dispensary, they gave me this highly medicated medical version or product, and I was stoned for 3 days straight, and I couldn't stand it.
God.
So it's really important, and that's good to emphasize too, that even cannabis, because it is a powerful medication, has downsides. It can be addictive to people. It can feel really terrible to take too much of it. So it's really important that we have education. That's what I'm committed to at thehighendorg. That's what I do.
Yes, and it is important. It is so important for people to contact you, Ezra, and get, again, all the right information for whatever it is they're trying to address.
I think it's
absolutely.
I think it's imperative that they have someone like you, Ezra, because right here we're having an issue here in Arizona with a thing called spice, that people think they're getting regular marijuana to, quote, help them through other things, and it's killing people.
Oh, it's so tragic. And the irony is spice is legal, or, some of those aftermarket weird things you buy in smoke shops are legal. Cannabis is not legal federally, but it can't kill you. It's got an extremely high, what's called an LD50, a fatality, what you'd have to ingest to cause a fatality. I also wanted to say something, because Patricia and I talked to each other after the election, and I think that cannabis is a really great way for the country to come together. Donald Trump said recently, right before he won, I think somebody may have asked him, or maybe he just mentioned it in one of his rallies. He said, he knows people that are really helped by medical marijuana, and he really believes that the states should be in charge of how they vote, which is, marijuana is a classically liberal battle and cause. And so that's a way, I think, that both Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters can really get together and say, hey, look, this is something that's going to help reduce healthcare costs. It's going to help reduce opiates. If we do it right in our communities, it's going to bring jobs to communities. It's going to bring more tax income. And we all want this. And it's a great way to bring diverse groups together.
And it won't be killing people.
Absolutely.
This other stuff is killing them. And we've got prisons filled with people for taking marijuana. Isn't that ridiculous?
Oh, it's tragic.
It really is. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
So
I don't know
thank
how.
God you're there, Ezra.
Well, I love doing it. I'm really passionate. I think if people even Google Ezra Cannabis Consultant, they can find me easily. There's not many people doing what I do, really committed to getting patients healthy and advising them. I do Skype and calls to people all over the country. And so if people are looking for advice for loved ones who are sick or people who want to go off medications that are bothering them, I can really walk them through a proper cannabis regimen that will not get them high, that can really increase the quality of their life.
Ezra, what about a person that's on opiates? Now, can they be weaned into the cannabis?
Well, it's a great question, PK. There's a study out of California just in the last couple of years that definitively shows that people who are on opiates, when they use cannabis properly in conjunction to treat pain, their opiate use goes down. So that they have done a clinical trial on this that has been proven. That's why pharmaceutical companies that produce opiates are actually fighting marijuana legalization. In fact, in New Mexico, the company that makes fentanyl donated $500,000 to block the legalization of marijuana. Historically, fascinating, in America, that was one of the major reasons that marijuana and cannabis was prescribed in the 1800s in the U.S. when it was part of the pharmacopoeia, was for opiate reduction. So absolutely, this is it's a proven pain reliever. So if you're on opiates for pain and you have not tried properly formulated cannabis, then I really recommend it. You want to keep opiates away from your pets. You want to keep them away from your kids, from yourself if you can. Thank God they're there for some people, but
not my thing.
Cannabinoids work on the body in a slightly different way. They work all over the body. The opiates work only in the one part of our brain. It's the part of our brain that controls breathing. So if you take too many opiates, your breathing will shut down. That's a terrible, terrible risk to take. So using cannabinoids in conjunction to reduce your opiates or replacing them altogether, I have had several clients who've just completely eliminated opiates from their life.
I think it's wonderful.
It's terrific.
The more you hear about the opiates, the scarier you are. And the way that they're setting things up, a person that truly, definitely needs it can't get it anymore because it's been so abused by people that don't need it.
That's right.
Well, that's true.
Go ahead.
No, I just was going to say that, the governor here in this state has signed legislation that prevents people from getting more than a certain amount for their prescription. And you're right, PK. So then the people that really need it, and maybe that's their only option, they can't get it. And
that's right.
Yet at the same time, they're screaming and yelling about opioid abuse, and we got to do something about opioid abuse. And here's an answer right in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and they speak to the fear they have that if we just let everybody use marijuana, then they'll want to go to heroin. And there is no scientific evidence that backs up that claim. It is a correlation, and it's a really important when we talk about legislating and writing laws that we're using scientific causation. When you don't have a seatbelt on and you get in a car accident, you can die. So a seatbelt can help prevent that. Saying that marijuana makes you want to go to heroin is like saying that you drank milk and you're gonna want to drink beer later. It's not. It is a correlation, and there's no direct cause. And what they've found is people who use marijuana, the danger is abusing it. So you could be a stoner and smoke marijuana all day long and never move out of your mom's basement or whatever the worst case scenario is there, but you're not going to be dead. You are, and those are the people who are truly addicted to marijuana, they just stay addicted to marijuana. They're not moving to that heroin. A very small percentage of people who are using opiates got there through using these illicit non-toxic natural drugs like cannabis. The way they get there is because they get injured, and then they get a prescription for opiates, which make them dependent. So yes, I agree. The answer is in front of them. It's not going to be lucrative for the pharmaceutical companies, but it's going to be great for the citizens of this country and ultimately the world when we relax laws that restrain marijuana.
And like you said, they're going to make a fortune in taxes. They're already making a fortune. How many people did you say the new patients were coming into Brookline? 2,000?
Well, it was amazing. Yeah, I heard today, and I don't know how true it is, but she heard at the dispensary that Brookline in Massachusetts, their dispensary there is getting 2,000 new patients every week. Oh, wow. So that's a great reminder too. This is not 2,000 college kids getting their medical marijuana card, which is a very painstaking and expensive process. This is patients who are sick going to their doctors. I talk to doctors all the time. The doctors say, you got to try marijuana. Have you tried it? They see the results in their patients. They see the prescriptions of opiates going down when their patients are trying cannabis. And the word is getting out, and people are responding positively. And, we haven't had a single fatality in the state. We have tens of thousands of marijuana patients. In fact, all over the country, there's millions of registered medical marijuana patients. And so far, the world has not collapsed. It's actually gone quite smoothly.
It has. And what's really sad to me, though, is I see these families, like in Florida. I just read about another family that has a small child who is somebody who suffers from grand mal seizures, which, as you know, that's life debilitating. There is really no chance for this little girl. But they found that marijuana stops these seizures. So instead of having them several times a day, she's having maybe one a couple minutes a week. But they could not get the treatment in Florida. They had to sell their house. They had to leave 2 older children behind and move to Colorado to get this treatment for their daughter. I mean, it shouldn't be. If they have a treatment that works, you should be able to get it. You shouldn't have to, change your life and downsize, and lose your job or whatever they had to do.
Yeah, doctors take a vow. It's the do no harm. And if I've worked with many patients parents actually, with kids who have seizure disorders. The drugs that are FDA approved and readily available for seizures are extremely dangerous. They cause fatalities, they cause psychiatric breaks, they turn kids into zombies. I've seen it, and I've seen parents really torn up about it. And the amazing thing about cannabis is I have a patient, she rubs CBD, so this is the CBD I sell right off my website. She rubs it into her 3-year-old son Simon's skin every night before his bath. So he's not even ingesting it. He's not smoking marijuana. He's not getting high. She's literally giving him a warm oil massage all over his body. And he has weaned off of all of his pharmaceuticals for seizures. His number of seizures has gone down, and the duration of his seizures have gone down. This is from a topical application. So we're not talking about an extreme medication. We're not talking about a dangerous drug that gets you high and makes you escape from reality. This is, in fact, I don't know if I told you this before, Patricia, but I've been doing some historical research for the book I'm writing, and it turns out there's many references in the Bible to using cannabis in anointing oils. So we know that the translation of anointing in Hebrew is Messiah, and then the Greek translation of Messiah is Christ. So Christ is the anointed one, and there are some oils that he used in anointing the 12 disciples and anointing people that had cannabis in them. And there's some speculation now that some of the diseases that he purportedly cured were actually diseases they've now discovered benefit from cannabis, one of them being seizure disorders. So
amazing.
Imagine Jesus Christ anointing a patient with cannabis oil, just like I described, and someone's seizure disorder gets eliminated or goes down, and they think it's this miraculous cure. So it has a rich history. It has a profound medicinal history, and it's sad that many people do smoke it recreationally to the point of self-harm by, being too lazy. I mean, they're not killing themselves. And that's what I work with too. I do the full spectrum. I have parents who bring their 20-year-old kid to me because he can't get out of the basement, but he really uses the medication. He says, I don't want to be on antidepressants. I like the marijuana. It's better for me, but I can't get motivated or I can't take a break. So I work with that end of the spectrum too. I'm not just always saying yes to marijuana. I really think a conservative approach
use it responsibly.
Right.
Well, here's just a real quick message from someone in the chat room from Veritas saying, I love you. You are so knowledgeable. I can't get opiates for my pain when I need them because of political correctness. So, Ezra, we want to thank you again for coming on the show tonight. This has been so helpful, and keep us posted on your books. We can have you back again.
You're listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
My name is Ezra, and I'm from thehighend.org. You've heard of medical marijuana, but who can you trust for proper guidance? Here at thehighend.org, we have all the information you need. Did you know that scientists have discovered cannabis can reduce inflammation, pain, and spasms? It's helped my patients reduce the symptoms of autoimmune diseases, PTSD, autism, and insomnia. A compound from hemp called CBD is doing wonders for intestinal issues, anxiety, and the nervous system. I sell this compound at thehighend.org. I've worked as a medical marijuana consultant and educator for the past 6 years, and here at thehighend.org, I can help you choose from the hundreds of cannabis strains and products and find the ones that are best for your needs. To learn more about cannabis, schedule a Skype or phone consultation, or to have a CBD product shipped right to your door, visit the High.
You've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, my family's jeans have been in hibernation all winter, but we need a major awakening.
Get to Old Navy for new jeans now.
Old Navy?
Yep, Old Navy's got some amazing new styles your family's gonna love, and they're all on sale up to 50% off.
Up to 50% off all jeans?
All of them, even the new straight fit power jean for women and the new relaxed slim for men. Jeans start at just $15 for adults, $10 for kids, in-store and online at oldnavy.com. But hurry, it ends tonight.
That's our wake-up call. We're going to Old Navy now.
High fashion, Old Navy. Valid February 21 through March 4. Excludes in-store clearance.
N.org. That's the high end, all one word, .org. I'll help make your health high end.
Hi, can you hear my voice? Imagine how many other people can hear it too. If you have advertising needs, then look no further. The Inception Radio Network currently has openings for on-air advertisements and radio show sponsorships. Given any thought to your target demographic? Inception has you covered there too. Advertising on a network gives you multiple opportunities to advertise on a wide variety of radio show broadcasts, and we have one to fit every advertising need. You know, in recent years, internet radio has exhibited a phenomenal listener growth. An Arbitron Edison survey shows that online radio boosts at least 33 million unique visitors each week and 54 million each month. And that number amazingly continues to grow. And these listeners are a part of many businesses' core demographics. And surveys have shown that internet radio listeners are far more likely than regular radio listeners to spend money on a whole range of activities. You know, internet listeners vote, they dine out and eat fast food, and they grab a cup of coffee. And here's the interesting one. They buy items online at a much higher rate than all other market segments combined. Internet radio also enables businesses to connect with consumers during work hours, where increasingly more lifestyle decisions are being made. Advertise with the best. The Inception Radio Network offers competitive advertising rates to fit just about anyone's advertising budget. Stop by today at www.inceptionradionetwork.com or call us toll-free at 1-888-919-2355. Get the word out. Get results with the Inception Radio Network.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Remember, you can take your Inception radio shows on the go. Just download the Inception Radio Network app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android smartphones and access live shows, past shows, guest lineups, and much more. Just visit the iTunes Store or the Google Play Marketplace and download it today for free.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with my co-host, PK, all the way from Tucson. And we now have our guest on the line all the way from the UK. We have Alex Seymour. Now, Alex enlisted that's like by choice, in the Royal Marines Commandos as a teenager. He served for 6 years and completed 2 tours of duty on active service. 20 years later, Alex returned to the service as the oldest frontline commando in Helmand Province, Afghanistan. So he has a lot to tell us, not only about the battlefield, but about his trip to the Amazon and working with shamans in South America with ayahuasca. We have so much to talk about. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Patricia. What a lovely introduction. And you make me sound like I'm as a real sucker for punishment. So
I was just going to say you were godlike instead.
Yeah, that's more like it. This is quite a story. And again, the book is tremendous. It's called Psychedelic Marine, A Transformational Journey from Afghanistan to the Amazon. So fill us in here. Fill our audience in, because they haven't read the book yet. And you enlisted at a very young age. And you were subjected to intense training exercises that went on for months, right?
Yes, yeah. The Royal Marines have been around for over 350 years now, so they know what they're doing. They're fully aware, of their methods and their processes and their, military. You might even call it indoctrination, but it works. It's effective, and so you go through your basic infantry training, you go through your basic soldier training, and then they take you to another level, basically, which is the commando phase of training, which is a few more additional months, and then you get through that. It's very grueling, and they award you a Green Beret, and you then join a commando unit. And so I was very young. I was just in my teens. I was 17 when I finished that training, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me, and I felt really pleased to be there. And as you rightly say, I stayed for about 5 or 6 years.
And when you stayed there and you fought the Taliban, you were on the front lines of all of this. How did it change you?
Well, I had a long break. I went outside, as they say, in the Marines and became a civilian, and then I went back in as a reservist after 20 odd years, which was extremely unusual. Mm-hmm. And to tell you the truth, not a lot had changed back in the Royal Marines. I mean, that some of the equipment had changed, but the ethos and the caliber of men and the values that really hadn't changed at all. So I slotted back in quite comfortably. As long as you keep up with all of their standards and tests, physically, then you're back in the game, so to speak. So going back out to going to the Amazon, I should say, which is my third tour of duty, was very, very different from the previous ones because the Northern Ireland and a previous tour of active service just wasn't nearly as intense or grueling. And so how it changed me was the fact that afterwards I really needed some R&R, heavy duty break, because it was just exhausting, and luckily the Amazon afforded that to me.
Let's address a couple things here, because I was horrified to read the terrible conditions that you guys were under. I mean, the lack of good food, the lack of clean drinking water. I mean, in this day and age, I don't know about you, PK, but I'm sitting here thinking, come on, we can't get these guys good food and clean water?
Sweetheart, what? I've spent enough time around the military to know, no, they can't.
All right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they pick these conflicts, and where they pick them, we have to serve. And a lot of the times they're in the back end of nowhere, and you're in the middle of nowhere. It's like going back. It was like going back 500 years. It was practically medieval. There was no running water. You're out in the desert. It's extreme in a lot of ways. There's extreme heat. It's 120 degrees Fahrenheit every day, extreme weight. You're carrying about 120 pounds worth of kit. All the men are, the soldiers, Marines, American soldiers. It's the same for all of us.
Right.
There's no sleep. Practically, the best you're ever going to get is 4 hours, maybe 5 hours in any 24-hour period, and there's no days off. You literally have, it's like Groundhog Day. So you're working, you're working, week in, week out, literally for months at a time, with a bit of R&R in the middle. And then, of course, there's the extreme pressure of the stress, because you're in a combat situation, you're surrounded by gunfire and IEDs and, explosions. And so there's a lot of consequences that come of that everybody is fully aware of. So it does have an effect on you, and it grinds you down, and you do need some rest afterwards, that's for sure.
Well, rest is an understatement. And again, just reading everything that you went through, and I'm sure it was even worse than what you put in the book. I mean, it just seemed that way, that it was just one day, like you said, was another day, the same day, over and over and over again, Groundhog Day. No relief. And no relief from the heat, and also knowing that there were people out there that wanted you dead. They wanted to kill you, whether it be by sniper fire, an IED, or something, just any kind of assault. Something in you made you survive all of this, and also made you feel like you were made for this. What was it?
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone survives out there because of each other. So, you're nothing if you're not part of a team. And also, it really pays to be, super alert. So, obviously, they only value kind of two states of mind: asleep and hyper alert and hyper vigilant. And it's as simple as that, really. I felt a need to go out there, just like a lot of the other men and women that knew that we were facing this, what seemed like an existential threat. This really kind of wicked fundamentalism that had made such a dark impact in our lives, on both sides of the Atlantic, and that's why we were involved in this. We've been attacked, people were being blown up, and so I was a firm believer, and so were the guys that I served with, that evil prevails when good men do nothing. So you have to do something, right?
Yeah, definitely the way it is.
You certainly did something, more than something. And again, I think what people need to know who haven't read your book yet, and everybody should get this book. It's tremendous. I couldn't put it down. It was a real page turner. Psychedelic Marine is the name of it. When you went to do your second tour at 40, you weren't a single guy. You were married, and you had 2 children that you left behind.
Yes, I did. And luckily, at the time I was working full time in a global tech company, so we had income, and so we were able to afford. Unlike some others, we were very fortunate. We were able to afford, professional help in terms of, caregiver like a nanny, to take some of the pressure off my wife, because a lot of people could say, well, why did you abandon your wife and kids for 6 months to go and serve in Afghanistan? But
it's a fair question.
Yeah, it is a fair question, and it took a lot of domestic persuasion, let's put it that way, to get the approval and the support from my wife. And I just want to state right now, she was fantastic and magnificent, giving me that support, because this whole adventure, both the Amazon and the Afghanistan part, could never have happened if it wasn't for her.
Wow. So that's a nice tribute to her. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. And your kids, they forgave you too for leaving?
I don't think so, no. They're still giving me a lot of grief, believe me.
Oh, yeah. They're going to make you pay that back. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's where the phrase paybacks are hell came from.
That's right. Well, here's a question for you from the chat room. Rebecca Sharp wants to know, have you suffered any PTSD from your experience?
Do you know what? I believe that I was really lucky. I came away with an extreme amount of anxiety, and I was emotionally exhausted and physically exhausted, obviously, but I wasn't diagnosed with PTSD. And so, unlike many of the guys in my unit and other guys in other units on the same operation, I believe I escaped it. I came away with different problems, and thankfully, the time I spent in the Amazon with the brew called ayahuasca helped mitigate those and help me manage those. But I didn't actually have medically diagnosed PTSD.
Okay. So let's move to the Amazon. Now, were you saying that was harder than Afghanistan, or were you saying it was easier than Afghanistan?
It was easier, but it was a lot weirder. And I just...
We like weird, so tell us all about it.
Yeah, so, on the last 2 weeks of me being in Afghanistan, I thought, instead of having another beach holiday, the last thing I needed was a deeper tan. I could do something really, really special. So, I did a bit of research, and I found out about these ayahuasca retreats in the heart of the Amazon, and I could afford a gift to myself, and so I booked on two very, very different retreats. One was called La Familia Medicina. It was run by an American guy who's a fantastic shaman, and the other one was called The Mythic Voyage. So the first one I stayed at was a couple of weeks normal ayahuasca type retreat with a master shaman with a group of people, and it was land based, and I thought that was fantastic in itself. But the second ayahuasca retreat that I went on was on a whole new different level of adventure, for another way of putting it. It's because it was basically run and conceived and delivered by this enormously charismatic polymath, kind of borderline genius guy who put together a group of 20 people for the last 6 years and basically commissioned a ship with 20 cabins on it to sail down the Amazon. And on board the ship, there were about 8 tiny female shamanas, female shaman, and another master shaman. And the unique thing about this journey was that each night they put the ship into the side of the river, and you'd basically get a canoe to the riverbank, and then they'd hack a ceremony space in the jungle with the machetes, and we'd lie down and consume this magic natural plant medicine called ayahuasca, and have a shamanic ritualistic healing ceremony right there in the middle of the jungle. We'd all be hallucinating extremely powerfully, meditating on powerful intentions that each of us had set for ourselves, and then we'd jump back on the canoe, get back to the ship, sleep, and then we'd just sail along down the Amazon River and do the whole thing night after night after night. And it was just incredible. It seemed genuinely mythic.
It sounds it. Now, ayahuasca, the brew, includes more than just the ayahuasca root, right? It also has chacruna leaves.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's fairly simple. It's basically a tea. It's the best way I can describe it. It's entirely natural. It's some leaves mixed with a vine and some hot water, boiled up, and then just drank. It's as simple as that. You can't overcomplicate it. And you drink this brew, and then it settles in your stomach. And after about 30 minutes, visions come on, and you start to hallucinate. And depending on who you're with and on what the ceremonial setting is, you can go on a mythical and fantastical and certainly mystical, inward journey. I recommend it.
Gosh, it sounds nice until you begin to share the part about how it upsets your stomach, basically, and then you end up vomiting like crazy. And it doesn't sound like fun.
No.
Yeah, I know. You have to kind of get over that, though. It happens to most people. And
is it every time that it happens to them?
Well, funnily enough, no. And you can prepare by doing this thing called a dieta, which is basically a preparatory diet beforehand, and that helps you cope with the ayahuasca, as it courses around your system. But there's no shame or badness that the Indians ascribe to purging in this sickness. They see it as helpful and as a healing thing to be able to just repurpose stuck energies and eliminate detritus and stuff that shouldn't be in your body anyway, and so that's why they call it a purge. But after that, it only lasts for about 5 or 10 minutes. You can just settle back in to the ceremony, and there's a beautiful harmony that inevitably kicks in, and it's very, very soothing. So I had the practical approach. Compared to Afghanistan, it was a minor thing to be able to have to deal with, and so just get it out, get over it, and crack on, as far as I was concerned.
Now, in your research, you said you discovered that no one had ever died from using this. But in one of your first experiences, which was prior to the boat trip, there was a young woman who seemed to be having some problems breathing. And tell us about that.
Yes. So there was quite a few strange stories that occurred whilst I was having these ceremonies. And on the first night, there was a lady next to me, and she'd worked for Microsoft for quite a while. Actually, she wasn't as young as you say. She was married and had children herself. But after about an hour into the ceremony, she kind of went into this catatonic state, and they tried to wake her and revive her, but there was just nothing going on, and she was deeply under, and she seemed to be completely unconscious. And there was a stage where the shaman that was leading the ceremony had thought that she'd stopped breathing, and I just thought, oh my God, please don't do this to me. I've just come back from Afghanistan. I'm on my first ayahuasca ceremony, and we're going to have a fatality on our hands. This just cannot be happening. But luckily, they sing these songs called Icaros, which are these powerful songs to move energy, and they're indigenous Indian ancient tribal songs, and you can really feel the energy and the vibration from them. And so what they did is they sung her these Icaros and blew this cleansing tobacco over her, and she just came out of it, and she was fine. But it lasted for about 45 minutes, and we were kind of worried there, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah, that is some scary stuff, that's for sure. Now, here's another question. This is from Trisha. Trisha wants to know, how long did these sessions last? And I believe she was asking about the ones on the boat.
Yes, so typically, it's a good question. They last for about 4 hours. That's how long the really kind of intense, intoxicating effects of the ayahuasca brew last. It comes on after about 30 minutes after drinking it, and then 3 or 4 hours after that, then you come back down from your visions to kind of baseline.
Okay, and here's something from Raymond. He says, hello, I have taken a few trips to Peru, but have been hesitant on trying ayahuasca. Does the experience target your personal demons, or is it a universal trip that affects everyone the same way?
It affects everybody differently, and this is why I think the Indians have used it, successfully now and very potently for millennia, and so each person is very different, and the magic combination is to, when you go onto this into this journey, this ayahuasca ceremony with a proper skilled and experienced shaman, that the general received wisdom is to have a strong intention, and when you have that intention, it's like a focused goal that you concentrate on and you kind of meditate on whilst you're journeying on this brew. And of course, everybody's goals and everybody's intentions are really different, but personally I found it just very, very profound and transformational.
Yeah, and you mentioned someone that you were journeying with, because you're in groups when you do this, who had a drug problem that he was trying to address with ayahuasca, right? I mean, his drug problem was something else, and he was using ayahuasca to try to get clean.
Yes, so it's used for different purposes, and drug addiction is and the release from that blight is one of the kind of effective ways of treating addiction. With these plant medicines, it's not just ayahuasca. Iboga and others as well have got real medicinal value, and it's highly valuable in that sense.
Now, you mentioned you've had ayahuasca experiences beyond your shamanistic trip to the Amazon. Is it legal in England, too, in the UK? Can you do that there?
I don't believe it is.
Okay. Then don't tell us you did it there.
Okay, I won't.
want any trouble for you. Yeah, so it's legal in South America, but probably in few other countries. Is that how it is?
Yeah, it's legal in South America. It might be legal in others, but I think it's just a question of the rest of the world catching up with the information. The only reason that it's become as widely known as it is, internationally now, was because it's because of the internet. This kind of global connected hive mind that we're already, we're talking through right now, is basically, people are sharing information, they're sharing ideas, people are going down to the Amazon, they're taking part in these ceremonies, they're imbibing this brew, and they're just sharing the information. So, that's what's happening.
Yeah, and Daria just wrote in the chat room, and she said, I have some friends that have practiced this in Moscow, so maybe it's legal in Russia? I don't know.
Yeah, it may well be. You'd have to check online if you really wanted to stay the right side of the law, but you'd get your answers quite quickly.
And I've also heard that there are groups that have founded religions that include ayahuasca in the United States in an attempt to make it legal here. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I have. Yeah, there's one of them springs to mind. Is it the Sante Diem? Not sure of the exact pronunciation, but absolutely, people are founding a religious, even kind of a spiritual practice around this, and that is one way I believe that certain people within the United States have managed to kind of get around the law by saying, this is a sacred and sacrosanct inherent part of their religious belief, and that's the way that they are able to consume it legally.
Very interesting. Well, everybody, we have got to continue this conversation with Alec.
Listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Just a reminder that Inception Radio Network is on Twitter. Follow us at I_R_N and keep up to date about who's on tonight, what interviews they'll be doing, who's guest spotting, what topics they'll be covering. Tweet to us, tweet about us, retweet topics to your friends, and most importantly, never miss a great show again. That's I_R_N.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
My name is Ezra, and I'm from the highend.org. You've heard of medical marijuana, but who can you trust for proper guidance? Here at the highend.org, we have all the information you need. Did you know that scientists have discovered cannabis can reduce inflammation, pain, and spasms? It's helped my patients reduce the symptoms of autoimmune diseases, PTSD, autism, and insomnia. A compound from hemp called CBD is doing wonders for intestinal issues, anxiety, and the nervous system. I sell this compound at thehighend.org. I've worked as a medical marijuana consultant and educator for the past 6 years, and here at thehighend.org, I can help you choose from the hundreds of cannabis strains and products and find the ones that are best for your needs. To learn more about cannabis, schedule a Skype or phone consultation, or to have a CBD product shipped right to your door, visit thehighend.org. That's thehighend, all one word, .org. I'll help make your health high-end.
You've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, my family's jeans have been in hibernation all winter, but we need a major awakening.
Get to Old Navy for new jeans now.
Old Navy?
Yep, Old Navy's got some amazing new styles your family's gonna love, and they're all on sale up to 50% off.
Up to 50% off all jeans?
All of them, even the new straight fit power jean for women and the new relaxed slim for men. Jeans start at just $15 for adults, $10 for kids, in-store and online at oldnavy.com. But hurry, it ends tonight.
That's our wake-up call. We're going to Old Navy now.
High fashion, Old Navy. Valid February 21 through March 4. Excludes in-store clearance.
Hello, Inception Radio Network. Would you like your favorite show to be played again live on air? Well, now the choice is in your hands with IRN's live request portal, an easy way to request your favorite show with a simple click. IRN's live request portal now gives you exclusive access to all the shows. How easy is it? Simply type a show name or a guest name, click request, even write a dedication message, and that's it. Try it now. Simply visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com, click on the live request tab under the show menu. Now playing your favorite show is just a mouse click away.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With cosmic fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I am here with PK from Tucson and our incredible guest tonight, Alex Seymour. He is the author of a great book. You all need to get it. It's called Psychedelic Marine, a transformational journey from Afghanistan to the Amazon. So, Alex, we're talking about the power of ayahuasca. Now, I've heard people actually had physical healings from using this, not just spiritual healings. Have you experienced that?
Yes, I have. Yeah, anecdotally, I didn't have any physical healing that needed to be undertaken, but there was a young lady that I was with in the latter stages of the mythic voyage that I was on. She was a young Australian girl, and it was kind of a hairy experience, actually, that turned out to be quite inspirational. I can quickly tell the story to you, if you like.
Please. We'd like to hear what happened to her.
Okay. Well, it was, at the time, it was very bizarre, very troubling, because what had happened was we'd gone into the jungle. We'd laid down for about an hour. Everybody was journeying on, a gut full of the Amazonian brew, and then she was lying right next to me, and she'd been really, really silent, and I could hardly hear her breathing. And then all of a sudden, she just got up and just started screaming really, really loudly, and I realized then that I'd never heard a grown adult woman practically scream right in my ear. It was very alarming, and so of course all the shaman came over and started, trying to soothe her, but she'd be screaming one minute and then giggling the next, and then trying to spit water over them, and one of the head shaman came over and he said to her, he said her name, and he said, look, just go inside, you know how powerful you are, just go inside, control yourself, have faith, and just basically told her what to do, and eventually she calmed down. And I just thought at the time it seemed like she was undergoing some kind of possession at the time. It seemed kind of almost demonic, and I just thought, this is so alarming. And I'd never witnessed anything blatantly paranormal, and so it was only months later that I was speaking to her on the phone. I said, so what was your perception and view about what happened last night? Because it seems pretty hellish to me that that something had entered you as a kind of entity. And she said, Alex, no, it has nothing to do with that. It didn't. That's not how it played out in my mind. Basically, what had happened was she'd actually regressed in the ceremony to before the time that she could actually talk to, like a very young child, 2-3 years old. And she told me that she felt really strong abandonment issues because her mother was an alcoholic, her father had walked out aged when she was age 2, and so when the shaman had come over and said that you know who you are, and given her the advice and the coaching and the compassion that she needed in that moment, she said that her previous faith in men that had been destroyed, and she said that she had no trust in men. It just basically had been completely restored. And so when she was screaming, she was actually calling it in to try and reach out for help, because the drama that was going on was basically it was a kind of a possession, but it was possession of an ancient bad memory that had been stuck and lodged in there, for decades. And she was just moving through that. And, she came out of that and she said, into the light, she said she felt much, much stronger. But, to your point, in terms of physical healing, she said for years, since, her father had left and all of the trauma that she had as a child over the abandonment issues, it had manifested as a really severe shoulder pain, which she could never shake and she could never get rid of. But after that night, with that ceremony and that ayahuasca healing session, she said the pain had gone and it never came back. And I thought that was, very interesting to hear about, because, there's a first-hand account about, not only can it heal people with their mental problems that they sometimes have, and ease suffering that way, but it can sometimes heal in a physical way too.
Amazing.
It is totally amazing. And again, this is such a powerful thing to go through, and it's so antithetical to our Western way of thinking. So you really have to leave that behind when you go to the jungle and you sign on for something like this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You have to have an open mind, but, I'd recommend to everybody that they do their research beforehand. And, there's a wealth of information out there, and you can actually, find out all about it, because, if you go in there, with a narrow, closed mind, then, it can be, because you will have your perception blown and your mind open, and it literally feels like, new neurons are waking up and sparking in your brain and mind for the first time ever. That it can be completely disorientating, but you have to be receptive to it, open to it, and just trust that these guys in South America know what they're doing, because they do, and it's pure South American genius.
Wow. Now, did you find that this experience made you more psychic, more intuitive?
I can't specifically say that I'm more psychic or necessarily more perceptive, but one of the long-term effects that I personally experienced is more empathy and more connection, a sense of connection, not only to the people that I love, my family, my friends, and the people I'm connected to, but to other people as well. And this is a similar theme that other people get, is this connection to nature, this overwhelming sense that we're not separate from nature, we're directly connected to it, and a strong sense of compassion for our fellow human beings. So it altered my perception in that way, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Now, here's a question for you from Tricia. She would like to know, did the Brits have any psychedelic programs that they tested on their soldiers?
Apparently they did, yes. There's a well-known YouTube clip which, funny enough, I believe involves, although I'd have to fact-check this, I believe it involves Royal Marines in the 60s being tested in a military environment with LSD, which is crazy. So, classic 60s, shambles when it comes to psychedelics, But let's put these military guys through, a military environment, put them over an obstacle course and see how they cope under the influence of one of the most powerful, psychedelics out there. So, yeah, it certainly exists. I think there's a precedent there. She's right.
Yeah, that's too bad that they chose that way to do that. Oh, well.
I noticed that on the trip on the Mystic Voyage, there's quite a few young people there. Are they college students, or are they people involved with? How did they come together to be on this voyage?
Well, most of it, as I learned, was through word of mouth. That that a friend of a friend of a friend had recommended it. Many people had been on there 2, 3, 4, some even 5 times before. They just kept going back for more. Of course, I was there, on my first journey and my first experience there, and some were very young, 21, 22 years old. College students, but then other people were, in their early 60s. So it's a very broad cross-section of people that just wanted to address issues that were going on in their first world professional lives. And everybody had a different requirement and a different need. And the Mythic Voyage addressed that.
I think that's the coming together of so many different resources of people, I think is amazing. That it ended up being as wonderful as it was, evidently, from what you've been able to talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah, the people were fantastic. The people were just, it was a privilege to be around them. Everybody, had an open heart. They were intelligent, open, good, well-rounded people that had, invested a lot. Some people, had never had a psychedelic experience before, and yet, they were, trusting enough to just, invest in this trip and just spend, a few weeks out in the middle of nowhere, on this strange and exotic kind of adventure, and see where it got them. And, luckily for them, it paid off.
It certainly did. Now, I wanted to revisit what you were just talking about with this young woman who hit on some pre-verbal pain, because it is really hard for any therapeutic technique to reach that pre-verbal space. And so ayahuasca apparently has that ability, which is amazing, because that's where a lot of pain and suffering is stuck, and it can certainly manifest as physical symptoms. It can be very debilitating and very difficult to reach because it's pre-verbal. So she was able to get there, and that probably explains all the crazy noises you heard coming from her, the screaming and everything else, because, again, it was a pre-verbal situation for her.
Yes. Yes, and this is the first time I've really spoken about it in any detail, and it's fascinating when you look at it. And there's a lot of research that's gone on in very, very highly regarded academic institutions, on how these natural plant psychedelics can affect the subconscious. For example, there's a Dr. Robin Carr Harris and Professor David Nutt in the UK, and they work in neuropsychopharmacology, and they've done some fascinating and really profound, important work in at the Imperial College London, I believe, with things like psilocybin mushrooms to help with people that have been suffering from depression. And there's been some strong results recently. I think they studied 12 participants that have got depression, and the results that it positively, affected and lifted all of them out of their depressive state for a significant period of time. So it's all important work, and it's all been put in the cupboard since the 60s, and now it's being reinvigorated and revitalized. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness is right, and I hope it makes it out to a larger population who needs to use this for their own healing. Now, here's another question from Raymond. Raymond says, I've been wondering whether ayahuasca has ever been used, and I think we're starting to address this, to treat physical pain. I read a book on back pain by a doctor who treats it as a psychological impairment. Does ayahuasca follow the same principle on connecting physical pain to mental imbalance?
Well, the short answer to that, in my anecdotal experience, it would be yes. Although I'm no medical doctor, but I would, from my experience, the people I've spoken to, it does have that potential. So it's definitely worth further investigation.
Now, you had the experience of being a participant in both of these places that offer the ayahuasca experience, but you also were put in a position of leader towards the end of this journey. What was that like?
That was just unimaginable. I had no idea that they would do that to me, and I couldn't have ever have anticipated it, and it was very intimidating, and I must say it was very overwhelming when it was put to me. The guy that conceived the whole trip had said, "Okay, right. What I want you to do is to run the ceremony," and so it was quite galling, as you can imagine. I thought, well, I'm not a shaman, I'm not a holy man. I'm just a normal guy. What do you expect me to do? And he said, don't worry, the shaman will be there. They'll be singing their Icaro songs, and I just want you to go out there and basically minister to people that might be calling out for help. Dispense as much compassion as you can, give them words of kindness, and don't worry, by the way, I'll be here as well, I'll back you up. So I had to do that whilst I was, hallucinating very powerfully, and whilst on the banks of the River Amazon in the largest jungle in the world, it literally, it was eye-popping, beauty and geometry and psychedelia just literally coming out of a dancing jungle. It was a crazy, crazy time, but it was very worthwhile.
How did you do it, though? I mean, here's all of this stuff opening up in your own mind and connecting you to the jungle around you.
Well, I had to tell myself to shut up for a start and stop worrying. I'd had a previous insight before that, and a ceremony that a couple of nights before, and it just literally said, have no fear. Have no fear. And that might mean different things to different people. But I think the message that was coming through to me was that, have no fear anymore since you've left Afghanistan. And that was, key for me to move on. And so, imposing a limiting belief on myself that, I didn't know what to do, or, I couldn't dispense any kind of kindness or loving affection to the people that I was journeying with, was a limiting belief. So all I did really was, when people called out for help, I'd go over to them. I'd whisper in their ear. I mean, it was probably, I'm no expert. I'm no minister. I don't really know, what to do in these kind of situations. But I did my best, and and sometimes it worked, but sometimes it didn't. There was an incident where, one lady, she was just crying out for help, and she just, she wrapped her arms around my thighs, looking up to me, imploring me, like you'd wrap your arms around a tree in a hurricane. And, she was asking me to get this, what she called, basically, she just said to me, suck it out. I said, what? And she said, suck it out. I said, what on earth are you talking about? I beg your pardon? And basically what she wanted me to do was try and remove what she believed, I believe, was, some kind of entity or spirit. And so I had to verbally try and, encourage her to do it, say, look, stare it down, take control of yourself, you're the one that's empowered to do this. But that all completely failed. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm just making it up now. I've got no one to steer me. And so I just grabbed the side of her head, just literally put my palms over her ears, and then I bent down and put my mouth into the top of her head, and I just sucked in as far as I could, and just, spewed out, in terms of air, energetically, what I thought might be some kind of foulness inside her. And I thought, right, okay, that's got to work. And it didn't.
How about that?
Work.
Amazing. God. Now,
yeah. But I ran. I got help. I spoke to the shaman. I said, listen, you got to help me out here. And they sorted her out, within minutes. So everything was fine.
Oh, wow. The pressure was on. Now, here's a question from Rebecca. She wants to know, is there any risk of anyone not being able to snap out of this? Snap out of a trip?
I think there's a fair degree of certainty that there's no risk there. Again, I'm not a medical man, but if you look at all of the evidence that people have spoken about in their stories, and some of the scientific studies that they're starting to do now with ayahuasca, and the very fact that the indigenous people, the tribes people in the Amazon have been using this as in a ritualistic, therapeutic kind of way, ceremonially, for thousands of years. The risk is absolutely minimal. It's all about, as with any psychedelic, getting the set and setting, and thirdly, the dose absolutely right. And if you've got your mindset in the right place, you're in the right place at the right time with the right quantity, then everything will be fine. And if it's not, you just got to sit it out. What's the worst can happen? Everything wears off after about 3 or 4 hours, and you'll come back down to baseline, as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Now, any thoughts about becoming a shaman yourself?
No, not yet. I've got to raise a family.
Well, they still let him stay home, right?
Yeah. It's something I hadn't really thought about seriously, to tell you the truth. And it's interesting you've asked the question, because no one's ever asked me that before. So, but at the moment, I'm just going to focus on, talking about the book, and supporting the veterans that are starting now to use this as a legitimate therapy, as an alternative to, prescribed pharmaceuticals for things like PTSD. We're talking about things like addictive pharmaceuticals like Prozac. This is a real alternative, and so that's my focus at the moment. Bringing an awareness to the fact that there's already American groups and charities that are helping and enabling veterans and people that who are suffering, that this is an alternative approach to healing.
Yes, it really is, and something that will work. And as we were talking with Ezra prior to your coming on the show, it could be the answer to opioid addiction and things like that seem to have no other real permanent treatment. So, all of this makes a big difference. Now, in In the UK, how many veterans are you talking about there that need treatment? Are we talking thousands?
I don't know the actual numbers, but I know some guys that have been seriously affected by PTSD. So, even if it's a handful, it needs addressing, because these guys have, given their all. They've gone out there. They've, put their lives on the line as far as wartime service is concerned. They've come back damaged, and they can't and shouldn't be ignored. And so I don't know if it's thousands, but, I know in America, it's a serious problem, and there's many suicides. The number that you keep hearing about is, 22 veterans a day, which is unacceptable. So we've got to look at alternative approaches.
It's almost like we lose more after the fact than we did during the event.
Yes, true.
How horrible. I mean, that's inexcusable. And how nice it is that you are bringing this forward so people can get comfortable with it. I mean, you're a straight up guy. And so it's easy to take what you say and really listen, know that it comes from a place where this really works. And again, this is great work that you're doing through your book and talking on shows like ours to try to raise consciousness about this. It shouldn't be illegal. It really shouldn't be.
No, absolutely. The fact that it's illegal is a travesty. It's a bad joke. The fact that it's illegal is all to do with the war on drugs, which was started 40 years ago. Which thank goodness we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel now, and people are listening to reason, and they're starting to do some serious academic research. To progress this.
Yeah, because it really was a war on us more than a war on drugs. I mean, all of that was a big manipulation. But anything that takes profit away from big pharma is a lot of where this comes from, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. And it's difficult to overcome. It's entrenched, but it's important. So, we need to, give it our best attention because for example, there's a guy called Dr. Jordi Reba I've learned about in Barcelona, and he's doing research with his team on the neurogenic properties of ayahuasca, and they're proving now, and this is you can Google it, that it is literally stimulating the birth of new neurons, new brain cells under the influence of ayahuasca, which is, incredibly powerful. So, for these people that have experienced, brain trauma of one kind or another, this is an alternative approach to, big pharma, as you say.
Yeah, this is a great alternative.
When I read that portion in your book, I thought, oh, how fascinating that is to give them hope that there is a possible, finally, an understanding and how to make it better.
I know, really. We need this. We need you, Alex, to keep spreading the word. And thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and speaking with us.
Well, absolutely my pleasure. And it's not just my journey. There's other guys as well. There's a charity run by Ryan LeCompte in America. He's an ex-US Marine, and he started up a charity called Veterans for Entheogenic Therapy, and he's actually taking guys down to the Amazon jungle now, and they're having these therapeutic ceremonies with these ancient plant medicines.
Send me that link. I will post it on our page, and we've got to unfortunately end the show. As exciting as it's been and wonderful to have you here, Alex. Good luck with everything. Please keep us posted on your next book, Becoming a Shaman. And until then...
Thank you. It was absolutely my pleasure, ladies.
Oh.
You've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, my family's jeans have been in hibernation all winter, but we need a major awakening.
Get to Old Navy for new jeans now.
Old Navy?
Yep, Old Navy's got some amazing new styles your family's gonna love, and they're all on sale up to 50% off.
Up to 50% off all jeans?
All of them, even the new Straight Fit Power Jean for women and the new Relaxed Slim for men. Jeans start at just $15 for adults, $10 for kids, in-store and online at OldNavy.com. But hurry, it ends tonight.
That's our wake-up call. We're going to Old Navy now.
High Fashion, Old Navy. Valid February 21 through March 4. Excludes in-store clearance.